Papa Kelly here from Yes Gadgets KE. I have a question from a client, a very good question indeed. And they're asking me, hi Papa, which is better? Which is better? That is, and then a comma. Which is better? A phone with a 12 nanometer Helio chipset, 6 GB RAM, or a phone with 6 nanometer Snapdragon chipset and 4 GB RAM. Did you hear that? And I'm going to actually post the question here so that you can understand. I will need to explain this. So he is asking which is better, a phone with 12 nanometer Helio chipset, 6 GB of RAM, all right, or a phone with 6 nanometer Snapdragon chipset and 4 GB of RAM. That is a very good question, a very technical question, and I am very happy that he asked this question. Now, generally, actually, the phone with a 6 nanometer Snapdragon chipset and 4 GB of RAM is actually the better choice, all right, and I'll tell you why. Okay, there's one thing, a 6 nanometer processor on the Snapdragon chipset actually will offer better power efficiency, okay, compared to the 12 nanometer processor on the Helio, all right. So which actually means that the phone with the 6 nanometer processor chipset on the Snapdragon chipset will actually consume less power, all right, and is actually going to have a better battery life, okay, while the 4 GB of RAM is actually limiting, all right, but there's what we call the architecture of the chipset, the Snapdragon's, you know, processor, okay. It will actually make sure that it actually optimizes, and it will be able to handle, you know, the softwares and the apps pretty nice, okay. So the 4 GB RAM will be able to fit in perfectly with the 6 nanometer chipset, and you won't feel the lag in it, okay. With the 6 GB of RAM on the Helio 12 nanometer chipset, okay, you're going to use a lot of power, all right. The battery is going to be more, it is actually going to consume more power, and hence you're going to have, you know, a shorter battery life, okay. But there's one more thing that I would want to let you know on the on that discussion, all right. Well, the Snapdragon 6 nanometer choice would be, you know, a better choice because of actually the 6 nanometer. You're actually going to get a smoother performance on the 6 nanometer chipset, all right, and of course a better long-term support. But if you want to do a bit of, you know, multitasking, and probably you need a specific you have actually a specific performance need, I believe the Helio 6 GB RAM might be a more suitable option. But however, generally a 6 nanometer chipset would be better than a 12 nanometer chipset. Does that make sense? That's actually a very technical question, yeah. But I'm going to be doing a detailed video of these things that I keep mentioning, the 6 nanometer, 4 nanometer. I know most people ask me, what are these things? I'm going to be giving a detailed breakdown of that. But at the moment, because we have a question that we need to respond to, he had asked which is better, a phone with 12 nanometer Helio chipset, 6 GB RAM, or a phone with 6 nanometer Snapdragon chipset and 4 GB of RAM. And the answer is the better phone would be a phone with a 6 nanometer Snapdragon chipset and 4 GB RAM. So that's the answer.